take you back to Cape Town. For the first time in history, the State of the Nation address will not be delivered in the National Assembly. Instead, MPs will converge on the Cape Town City Hall tonight to hear President Cyril Ramaphosa table government's plans for the year ahead. Newzroom Afrika's Xoli Mngambi is at the Grand Parade and Nasipi Same is in the Parliamentary Precinct. Let's start off with my colleague Xoli Mngambi. Xoli, we've been speaking throughout the course of this morning about the significance of this delivery. It is a historic moment for President Cyril Ramaphosa.
It's an important moment, Mpho, given where the country is right now, and it's shedding jobs. It's on the back of the coronavirus pandemic, and not that we have seen the back of this global pandemic, but we simply are almost learning to live with it. You remember the sentiment right now that it's much less a pandemic now, but more endemic, which means that it's something that we need to learn to live with. And so the president likely to focus his attention on economic recovery, as he has done since taking office. Let's not make the mistake of thinking that the economy only went into the doldrums on the back of the coronavirus pandemic. It was into junk status already before COVID hit us. But speaking about the venue behind me, Mpho, I have with me the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Lechesa Tsenoli, who joins me now. Deputy Speaker, thank you very much for your time. The President inspecting the venue, and are you able to tell us what he found? Are you able to tell us whether he is going to be comfortable having come here before the delivery of his speech?
I was alongside him looking at the venue. He didn't tell me how he found it, but he was smiling from ear to ear.
Yeah.
I suggest it might mean that he's happy with the environment in which he's going to address the nation on a critical accountability event of the year every year. To go back to the contract with the public that we will come back to tell you our ideas about where we think things are at, what we plan to do, what challenges we invite the public to get involved with. This is the rough idea I think will come out of this evening's remarks.
Possible disruptions. I was listening earlier in the week when the presiding officers did their own inspection of the venue, and there seemed to be emphasis about the number of people that will be in the chamber versus those that will be in the gallery versus those that will have to attend virtually.
Yeah.
The Speaker making the point that political parties that are represented in Parliament have been consulted not once, several times. Why that emphasis?
It is always important to remind people and others that the decision-making process, this Parliament is a multi-party. There are 14 political parties. And so every time we do that is to reassure people that we act democratically. We do not impose our views as presiding officers. We act in consultation with all political parties so that the disruptions we have seen in the past do not happen on some grounds of one kind or another. We don't want to be dragged into those kind of things. They are, what's the word? My vocabulary is limited to describe it, and some of it...
Can I describe it for you?
No. And some of that which I have cannot be said in public, in polite society, because it's unacceptable. The agenda of today is an agreed agenda by the majority of parties.
This is what I wanted to say, Deputy Speaker, that what you are avoiding in saying is that we have seen disruptions in previous SONAs, and you have thrown people out at some point. That kind of behavior, is that where the Speaker was driving at when she says parties have been consulted about the numbers that are going to be represented inside the chamber? Is that where she was driving at? And is there worry that there might be such disruptions?
Let me explain. please don't misrepresent me in my presence. I didn't avoid saying anything. I told you our view of the matter. Because we can't reduce the decisions of one political party as a reflection of all political parties. It is not. The value of democracy in that. This is why we rejected apartheid. Because it was the views of the few imposed on the majority. We won't accept it today of the views of one political party or two.
But it was a real worry, wasn't it, Deputy Speaker, that they actually attempted to go to court. In fact, they had gone to court, and it was the understanding that they withdrew their own application. Why did they feel it necessary? Was it explained to you as presiding officers as to why they felt so strongly that they wanted to take this matter to court?
Okay, there are claims they are making, and I don't want to represent them. They can represent them better.
By the way, let's be clear about who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Why do you ask me that? You know who you are talking about. Why do you play around mentioning the EFF as if by doing so, if it comes from me, it has more legitimacy? I don't represent the EFF. I represent all political parties that have agreed on the positions of today, as it is going to happen today.
But explain
Let me explain that you want me to explain their view. You see, we have made decisions about the numbers of people who must be in here, allocations of who must come and how many must come from each political party and so on. And they were disagreeing with that. They were disagreeing even with holding the SONA here, that they wanted us to move away. Or if at all they wanted us to have all members present in the House. Surely that's unreasonable in the period of a infrastructure crisis that we have. The offer that we have received is appropriate for our purposes. There are regulations that require of us to be in here in appropriate numbers.
Deputy Speaker, Lechesa Tsenoli, let's end it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
for your time. Indeed, we're going to have to give that right of reply to the EFF, and they are going to have to come to us and tell us what is going on with their attempt to try and, in the words of the statement that was issued by the National Assembly, that there was a possible derailment of the State of the Nation address tonight. But let me hand it back to you, Mpho, and hopefully we will speak to the EFF as the day progresses.
Absolutely. Let's, of course, leave it there for now. Xoli Mngambi.